Sean Kelly sat. Resting on his knees was the racing form guide from the newspaper. He was muttering to himself, "Geez, I could do with some extra money, not getting enough work." His wife Barb was complaining about running out of ways to cook rabbit. They were beginning to dread the thought of another meal of rabbit. Last month Uncle Doug had visited and stayed for a month. They'd put up with the chamber pot under his bed, but detested his stinking ferrets. He insisted that they drive up the treacherous Dorrigo mountain road to go ferreting. The ferrets were put down rabbit holes, and they would chase the rabbits, which then cannoned out of their burrows into the nets across the entrances. A quick karate chop to the neck produced one dead rabbit. After a couple of hours they'd caught dozens of rabbits, so the freezer was full to overflowing. Okie dokie, I can place a bet on the GGs at Randwick, or the Dapto Dogs, or the Harold Park Trots, or the Booyah Camel Races. He chuckled at his camel joke. Heavy footsteps sounded on the cracked concrete path. The anguished cry ran through his head. "Oh no, it's Tuesday morning. Why can't I remember? Tuesdays." He froze as the door swung open and bashed against the flimsy timber wall, and there, silhouetted against the light, was burly Bob the Dunny Man. He was dressed in his normal garb of black stubbies, blue singlet and heavy boots. He blinked at Sean as he balanced the new dunny can on his left shoulder. The strong smell of creosote assaulted Sean's nostrils as he sat with his undies and shorts around his ankles and the look of a stunned mullet on his face. "Don't mind me, mate. Take your time. Finish your business. I'm not in any hurry." Bob leant against the door frame as Sean hurriedly replaced the toilet roll on the wooden peg, dragged up his undies and shorts and slunk from the dunny. Bob whistled as he changed the dunny pans. He attached the clip-on lid to the used one, positioned the new can, hoisted the full can onto his shoulder and strode off whistling his excellent rendition of Danny Boy. He turned at the end of the path and called out to Sean, "See you next week, mate. Same day, same time, same place." He guffawed loudly as Sean banged through the kitchen screen door. Barb was folding washing and listening to the radio. Sean continued his perusal of the form guide, spread out on the kitchen table. He and Barb have followed their dream of country living by moving to Nambucca Heads. They loved living in the pretty little seaside fishing village, but there was never enough work for Sean, who was a toolmaker by trade. "I don't know, Barb. If things don't improve, we may have to go back to Sydney. Nev and I had a thriving business on Maroubra Road, and he said he'd be happy to have me as a partner again." "Oh, it's so lovely here," replied Barb, "but we're only just surviving financially. Maybe something will turn up." "Maybe. At least in Sydney, we didn't have to remember about Tuesdays and Bob the Dunny Man." Once a year, the family drove down the goat track that was officially called the Pacific Highway to visit both sets of parents. Sean's family had lived in Maroubra since the 1920s, when land was first released, but Barb's parents lived in upmarket Vaucluse. Sean accompanied his son Jamie to the toilet, which was alongside the modern tiled bathroom in the newly renovated Vaucluse house. When Jamie had finished, Sean reached up and pulled the chain so that water gurgled into the toilet bowl. As he pushed the door open, he caught movement out of the corner of his eye as Jamie plunged his hands into the toilet bowl and squealed in delight. "Look, Daddy, here's water so I can wash my hands." Sean grabbed Jamie by the arm and steered him into the bathroom to wash and dry his hands, hoping that no one else had heard Jamie's loud squeals. Back home in Nambucca Heads, Sean wandered up to the main street to place a bet at the TAB. "Think I'll bet on race 6 at Randwick, because 6 is my lucky number. The horse is called Irish Eyes, and the jockey has green hoops on his sleeves. I've got the luck of the Irish. $20 for the win. Sean said to the young woman behind the counter. "Rightio, love. Best of Irish luck." She giggled as she handed him his ticket. "They're off and racing. Sunburnt got a good start. Likely Lass was slow out of the gates, and Gunner Win has already taken the lead. As they turn the corner into the straight, Midnight Bliss is leading. Sunburnt is sitting on her shoulder, and Irish Eyes is under the whip in third place." Barb's uncle, Eric Walker, was the race caller at 2GB radio station, and his voice blared out from the transistor radio sitting on the kitchen counter. "And it's Sunburnt by a nose." "Oh well, maybe you'll have better luck next time," said Barb. Maybe. Next week, Sean was again sitting on the dunny, studying the form guide. But it was Friday, so there was no chance of Bob the dunny man disturbing his deliberations. Again, there was no Irish luck lurking around for Sean. His horse came last. As they packed to move back to Sydney, the big diggers moved into town and dug a maze of trenches. It was 1971 and the sewage was coming to Nambucca Heads. Bob the dunny man would be out of a job. Memories of Sean's childhood came flooding back. On Saturday mornings, everybody attended to their lawn mowing. Uncle Eric called the races on Saturday afternoons, and on Sundays on 2SM, Frank Hyde called the football. It's long enough, it's high enough, and it's straight between the posts. And every night, after Tommy Leonetti sang "My City of Sydney" on Channel 7, the Joey was put to bed. Life in Maroubra was good, but Sean had a recurring nightmare. Bob the dunny man was leaning against the door, balancing the new dunny can on his shoulder on a Tuesday morning. But that scene morphed into a worried, "Did I remember to flush the toilet?" every single morning of the week.